In this video, I'll reveal 10 dark psychological tricks designed to encourage someone to confess their true feelings. These techniques are based on psychological principles that subtly influence behavior, pushing people to open up in ways they might not even realize. If you're looking for answers and want to know what someone truly feels, stay tuned because these strategies will give you the clarity you need. 1. The power of silence. Silence can be your strongest weapon when trying to get someone to reveal their true emotions. When you ask them a question about their feelings or thoughts, resist the urge to fill the silence if they hesitate. The discomfort of silence often compels people to speak more to break the tension. For instance, if you ask, "Have you ever felt something deeper for me?" and remain silent after, they might feel the need to justify their pause by confessing their feelings. Silence places the burden of continuation on them, creating an internal push to fill the void with honesty. Moreover, using silence effectively means maintaining a calm and composed demeanor. A lack of reaction to their initial responses makes them feel less judged and more likely to continue speaking. Silence, when paired with attentive body language like nodding or maintaining eye contact, magnifies its effectiveness. 2. The guilt association technique. This tactic leverages human guilt to elicit confessions. Casually mention situations that highlight how their actions or inactions might have affected you emotionally. For instance, you could say, "Sometimes I feel like I misread signals from people close to me, and it gets confusing." By framing it as your emotional struggle, you trigger an internal response in them, especially if they've been withholding their feelings. This indirect approach creates a subtle guilt association where they feel responsible for your confusion and are more likely to clarify their stance. However, it's essential not to make this sound accusatory. Keep the tone light yet reflective, ensuring it doesn't come across as manipulation. When used carefully, this method encourages them to confess out of a desire to ease your doubts and emotional strain. 3. The curiosity trap. Curiosity is a powerful motivator in human psychology. Use it to your advantage by making vague yet intriguing statements about your own feelings. For example, say, "I had a dream about you last night, but it's hard to explain what it meant." Such statements leave them wondering about your feelings and create an opening for them to explore the topic further. Their need to solve the ambiguity often leads them to share their thoughts first, creating a natural segue into confessions. This trick works best when paired with playful yet sincere body language. A slight smile or a lingering glance as you speak enhances the mystery, keeping them engaged. By sparking curiosity, you encourage them to reveal what they feel to match the vulnerability you've subtly displayed. 4. Reverse psychology confession. This classic technique is subtle yet effective. Pretend to dismiss the possibility of them having feelings for you by saying something like, "I don't think you'd ever see me that way, right?" By framing it as a rhetorical statement, you challenge their ego while providing them with an opportunity to correct you. People often feel the need to defend their hidden truths when they think they're being misunderstood, making this tactic highly effective. Ensure your tone is casual and lighthearted to avoid putting them on the defensive. If delivered correctly, this method can prompt them to admit their feelings without realizing they've been strategically guided into doing so. 5. The emotional buildup. Create moments where emotions run high. These could be deep conversations about life, shared vulnerabilities, or even moments of genuine laughter. Emotional highs are fertile ground for confessions because they make people feel closer to one another. During these moments, subtly steer the conversation towards your dynamic, saying things like, "I feel like we always have such a unique connection. Do you ever feel the same?" When emotions are heightened, people are more likely to express themselves freely, reducing their usual guard. This approach relies on timing and observation. Wait for moments when the person is visibly invested in the conversation. Their emotional openness will make them more susceptible to your subtle nudges, increasing the likelihood of a confession. 6. Create an emotionally safe space. Before someone can confess their feelings, they need to feel emotionally safe with you. Start by being attentive, showing genuine interest in their thoughts, and avoiding any form of judgment. The goal here is to make them feel they can be completely vulnerable around you. This can involve subtle affirmations like saying, "I appreciate how open and honest you always are. It's refreshing." Statements like these not only reassure them, but also subtly encourage deeper conversations. They feel validated and begin associating your presence with emotional security. Be mindful of your nonverbal cues. Open body language, sustained eye contact, and relaxed facial expressions communicate warmth and acceptance. When someone feels safe, their natural defenses lower, making it easier for them to share their deepest feelings. 7. Use gentle leading questions. Asking the right type of questions can nudge someone toward opening up without them realizing it. Start with open-ended yet non-threatening questions such as, "What do you value most in your relationships?" This invites them to talk about emotional priorities, creating an opening for a more personal confession. From there, gently steer the conversation towards your dynamic. For instance, you could say, "Do you feel like people sometimes overlook the meaningful connections in their lives?" By framing your questions around shared experiences or abstract ideas, you lower their guard while subtly guiding them to reflect on your relationship. Keep the tone light and conversational. Avoid pressing too hard or making them feel cornered. The goal is to make them think they were arriving at the confession naturally rather than being prompted by your questions. 8. Subtly pull away. After creating a sense of closeness, strategically pull back to spark curiosity and concern. For example, if you've been texting frequently, slow down your responses or become slightly less available. This subtle shift often triggers a fear of losing the bond they've grown to value. People are more likely to confess their feelings when they perceive a potential loss of connection. This doesn't mean being cold or dismissive. Instead, it's about creating a little distance to prompt them to reevaluate their emotions. They might start thinking, "Why do I miss them so much? Do I feel more for them than I realized?" When you reconnect, their emotional longing often leads to more open and heartfelt conversations. This push-pull dynamic, when used sparingly, can be incredibly effective in prompting confessions. 9. Mirror their emotions. Mirroring is a subtle technique where you reflect someone's emotions or behaviors back to them. If they share something personal, respond with a similar level of vulnerability. For example, if they talk about a challenging experience, share one of your own in return. This creates a sense of shared understanding, making them feel deeply connected to you. They start viewing you as someone who truly gets them, which makes it easier for them to open up about their feelings. Keep the mirroring subtle and authentic. If it feels forced, they might pick up on it and become guarded. The goal is to create a rhythm in your interactions that fosters trust and emotional intimacy, making confessions feel like a natural progression. 10. Highlight their importance. Make them feel special by emphasizing how much you value their presence in your life. Say things like, "You're one of the few people I can truly be myself around." Statements like this not only boost their confidence, but also subtly invite them to consider their role in your life. When someone feels valued, they're more likely to open up because they feel their emotions will be reciprocated. This creates a foundation of mutual respect and admiration, making them feel safe to share deeper feelings. Reinforce this by remembering small details about their likes, dislikes, or past conversations. This shows them you pay attention, strengthening the bond and making them more likely to confess their emotions. 11. Ask yes-only questions. Questions that can only be answered with a yes create a psychological momentum that makes it harder to say no later. Start with simple, harmless questions like, "Do you enjoy spending time with me?" Or, "Don't you think we get along so well?" These affirmative responses build a pattern of agreement, making it easier for them to agree to more personal questions later. Gradually transition to questions like, "Do you think there's something special between us?" Or, "Have you ever thought about us being more than friends?" This technique works because it reduces cognitive dissonance. Once someone has agreed multiple times, they're more likely to stay consistent and admit their true feelings when asked a more significant question. 12. Subtly bring up romance. Introduce romantic topics in a casual, non-threatening way. For instance, say, "It's funny how some people take years to realize they have feelings for someone close to them." Statements like these plant the idea of romance in their mind without making them feel pressured. Pay attention to their reactions. Do they smile, look away nervously, or ask follow-up questions? These are subtle indicators of how they might feel about you. Use their reactions as cues to steer the conversation further. By normalizing discussions about romance, you make it easier for them to consider and eventually confess their feelings. They start associating these romantic ideas with your connection, which can nudge them toward opening up. 13. Be vulnerable first. Sometimes showing your own vulnerability can encourage someone to reciprocate, share a personal story, or talk about your own fears and insecurities. For example, say, "I've always been hesitant about sharing my feelings because I'm afraid of being misunderstood." This level of openness creates a safe emotional environment, making them feel it's okay to be vulnerable in return. People are naturally more willing to open up when they see someone else doing the same. However, be careful not to overdo it. The goal is to create balance, sharing just enough to encourage their honesty while keeping the focus on them and their emotions. 14. Give them what-if scenarios. Use hypothetical scenarios to explore their feelings without making them feel exposed. For example, ask, "What if someone close to you admitted they liked you? How would you feel?" These what-if questions make it easier for them to explore their emotions without committing to a direct confession. They might start by describing the hypothetical situation, but eventually reveal how they truly feel. This technique works because it removes the pressure of a direct confrontation. By framing it as a casual conversation, you create an environment where they can process their feelings and share them with you. If you have made it this far, let us know what you think in the comment section below. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.